Welcome to Aviation Uploaded. I'm Nezra. Today we're going to start with the quickies, as we usually always do. But first, I want to say that it's December and this is our Christmas tree, and you can tell from the intro video that it's still very hot in Las Vegas. God help us. First, Wikipedia needs donations. This is something I truly believe in. Researchers like me, it's an invaluable tool. So if you can, please donate to Wikipedia and help them out. I was walking through Walmart and I seen this magazine stand that's right up our alley. And while I was looking, I found one magazine that had an article in it that is just for us. It's called The Pond Racer, and it's a picture of a really cool experimental aircraft. And it looks just like the Star Wars pod racer, but I wonder if George Lucas got the idea, because this was before Star Wars. This was built in 1998 by a guy named Bert Rutan, and we're going to have a lot on Bert Rutan later. Unfortunately, this aircraft was destroyed, and pilot Rick Brickert was tragically killed racing. This is exactly what we're trying to do, though. This is called an experimental or home-built airplane, part of the EAA that I talk about all the time. And something else we're going to have a lot more of later is called ultralights, and this is an ultralight helicopter, but we're going to do a big story on ultralights later, and helicopters. That's all for today's quickies. Getting into the meat of our today's show, we have a memo with DJI in it again. And this is a memo from the LA August says that the officials assess with moderate confidence that Chinese-based company DJI Science and Technology is providing U.S. critical infrastructure and law enforcement data to the Chinese government. So it doesn't target its usual. It tries to find if you are in law enforcement, or if you didn't show up to work that day, if the water wouldn't turn on for your city. Those are the kind of guys they're targeting. DJI is. And well, as we just saw in that other magazine issue, that the DJI Phantom 3 was pictured. That, I heard, is also sending the data. First it came out that it was just the Mavic Pro, this one here pictured, but it's also the small white one known as the Phantom 3. So this is a big deal. This is a real big deal, and if it is, something needs to be done. Next, we have the lithium ion batteries on the Boeings. It's in the news again. Here's the article. United Flight 915 was at the end of a 7-hour flight from Washington's Dulles Airport when the pilots received a warning that the main battery was overheating. United spokesman Charles Hobart confirmed the event, which was first reported by the Aviation Herald. On landing, technicians discovered the battery venting fluid, with fluid dripping from the forward vent relief system. The titanium box and pipes Boeing installed after the airplane was grounded in 2013, also from battery failure. Paul Bergman, a spokesman for Boeing, said the plane experienced a fault with the single cell, adding that it was not a safety of flight issue. Grounding by the Federal Aviation Administration 2013. That came after grounding by the FAA in 2013. That came after battery malfunctions on 2 Japanese-operated 787 Dreamliners within 2 weeks of each other. That was a big story. Most of us can remember. Destroyed the bread box-sized batteries and the area in which they sat, prompting 3 safety investigations. This was a Forbes article. Now I say, why can't they get these batteries corrected? We're all scared of lithium ions from our cell phones and all the videos and news we've seen about them. I say just put in an old nickel metal hydride or nickel metal whatever, the old style batteries, until a stable battery can be found. Lithium ion or Li-ion is an inherently dangerous battery. New technologies are just around the corner. Why fly these batteries? Just replace them with rock-solid, time-tested systems until a safe alternative can be found. But I'm sure I'll be reporting more battery failures before long. Moving on. I wrote up a planning ahead for 2030 and beyond. This is a future article that ties right into our next article. Let me read the piece. Planning for 2030 and beyond. An interesting feature of the current discussion is the apparent salience of 2030 for air combat planning purposes. The year is frequently discussed as an operational date for next generation fighter or set of systems. Highly placed Air Force officials, including the commander of Air Combat Command, have held 2030 IOC to be an operational requirement. Similarly, Navy leadership has noted a need to replace its Super Hornet fleet starting in 2030. My analysis is America needs another fighter, manned or unmanned. We have two ways that we can go. Manned aircraft on the left and unmanned aircraft on the right are going to go with us in the future. Both systems were designed with this in mind, which isn't good for the enemies. But the enemies have had years to analyze our airframes, and I don't care how good our electronics are. You know, there's an old saying in airplanes that form follows function. In other words, if it looks good, it probably flies good, and that F-35 needs some makeup because it's not turning me on at all. On the other hand, we have unmanned aircraft. Yes, they don't have the appeal of the other two, but as soldiers, they were made to fight and die. You could argue that humans were too, but we put ejection seats in warplanes to get the pilot back. He is the most expensive and unreplaceable part of the airplane. But we do not have a frontline fighter drone, or do we? The black world, full of secrets, places like Area 51 and the proving grounds in Utah, places where the U-2 and the SR-71 were built, Skunk Works, Lockheed Martin, things like this. But as an American, I can expect a drone that can do all the things that a fighter can and pull G's that only man could dream of. I'm confident we don't have the whole story when it comes to unmanned aircraft, and I really don't want to. It's Christmas. I mean, I want surprises, don't you? These are the systems that will go into 2030 with a little PFM and good old American sweat. Hopefully our enemies will have the biggest surprises on their way with full afterburner lit. And we are at Red Stealth, our 3-part series. Today is part 2, and we're going to be focusing on the J-25 Ghost Bird. I did not save the best for last. I'm giving you the best story I can right now. Today's Red Stealth continuation will be focused on the J-25 Ghost Bird, the top of the technological pyramid for Red China. This aircraft is scheduled to be released sometime in 2018, so details are sketchy. But here's what I got, and here's some specs. This is China's first aircraft to be mainly constructed on 3D printers. I feel this is a direct answer to our F-35 threat. The Chinese are no longer technologically behind us. This is a true stealth air superiority fighter that can go into the 21st century and beyond. The engines used on this aircraft are some Russian copies that produce 80,000 pounds of thrust. I don't know if that's individually or alone. I believe it's alone. Like I said, this aircraft is still secret. We did the J-20 yesterday. This is I'm assuming a variant of the J-20. Ghost Bird isn't even the true NATO name. The true NATO name is JXX. Does have advanced wing geometry that no fighter in the West has. 30mm cannon. The intakes are specially designed for radar deflection, extreme thrust vectoring, So that concludes today's episode of Aviation Uploaded. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all maybe tomorrow.